everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Board Game Breakfast, a show all about board games and the people who play them. I'm your host, Tom Vasel, and I have a slew of people who are joining me. Well, it is another week in another weird world where we talk about weird board games, or wonderful board games, I suppose, and I'm excited about a lot of things going on. I'm not thrilled with the fact that last week we announced that Dice Tower East was canceled, and we'll be redoing that in 2021. You can watch a video that explains more of what happened in that particular, what's going on and how we're changing it. But that does mean that the Dice Tower Summer Spectacular and maybe something else is around the corner. So stay tuned for that. We should have another announcement this week, and we got some cool things that are going to be coming in the Dice Tower Summer Spectacular. But I should have some announcements for that probably next Board Game Breakfast to tell you more of what's going on. With all that being said, though, we got plenty of things to talk about today, so let's get started. Okay, so this week on the internet, I found a very interesting article. It was on compoundinterest.net. Why do games, and specifically about board and card games, have 5 resources? And they used Settlers of Catan, Splendor, and Magic the Gathering. And this is an interesting thing, right? What is the right number of resources to have? And so this article just goes through and shows mathematically and the different combinations and things as to why that is. Maybe if you're not a math person, or, well, I shouldn't say math person, but someone who finds statistics like that fascinating, you might not like this, but I find this sort of thing interesting. I used to ask the question, could Magic add a 6th color? And people turn and look at me and their faces are like melting off, like, yeah, that's just not possible. But there are games that have more than 5 resources, and there are games that have less, but these are some big ones that do, and I just found it to be a fascinating topic. So definitely give that one a check. That's what I found on the internet this week.
Hi, Stella.
And Tarrant here.
We have a game called Evolution: The Origin of Species. Now, you might think, is that the same game as Evolution?
And to a large extent, yes. It's this is the very original from back in around 2010. It was developed into a more involved and differently graphic version in 2014.
The graphic is different. The cast looks a bit like that as well.
Yep. And it's also then there's been Evolution Climate and various others, but it essentially started with this quick little card game. Mm-hmm. Where you are trying to build up species with different traits that will survive food shortages and each other.
What's quite different from the modern type of evolution is that the card has got only a few different types, and they quite they have got less. Would you say they have sort of like less variety and less text?
There's certainly less text. I know that when we played the more modern Evolution, the volume of text, particularly at higher player counts, was the toughest thing to keep track of.
Yes.
This, by being the original, really strips it back to something that is quite readily playable, even with a number of players. And yeah, it maintains the same cutthroat style. So
yeah, it has got a lot of different expansions since it was published, and it's not your, it's basically almost the same game, but obviously the other one has got kind of like more modern artwork. Yeah. So that's it. That's Evolution: The Origin of Species. Hopefully you enjoy that. We are Meeple University on YouTube, and also how to play and pocket playthrough videos on the Dice Tower. See you next time.
Hey everyone! Today on 2 Minute Mini we're turning the scoundrel from Gloomhaven from this into this in just 2 minutes. Hey everyone, Matty from the Plastic Canvas, and today on 2 Minute Mini we're painting the scoundrel from Gloomhaven. But before talking about her, I just want to say another big thank you to Stella and Tarrant from Meeple University for sending me some of their Gloomhaven minis. You can see Stella and Tarrant here in Board Game Breakfast, but if you haven't checked out their channel yet, I definitely recommend checking out Meeple University for some awesome board game content. Now, the main thing I want to talk about with the Scoundrel today is the way in which a mini like this, which has lots of really, really small details like little buckles and ninja stars and daggers and knives and armor plates and things like that, until I actually started painting those parts, I really wasn't actually that excited about how the Scoundrel was looking, because there isn't a lot of detail in just those base elements like the green for that suit that runs underneath and her boots and things like that. It's really in the sculpt, those smaller details where the attention has been paid, and so there's just not a lot of interest in those base elements, and so it wasn't really until I started picking out those smaller details that she started coming to life and really started to look like a complete mini, because all of those little details just fill it out. They break up all of those greens and browns that don't have a lot of interest to them, and it really starts to tell the story of the Scoundrel. And the other thing with a mini like this, which has so many smaller details, is that there isn't really a one key focal point that you can really build up and use as a way of drawing people's attention. What I did here is I painted her sword to look like it's glowing, which matches the artwork, and that kind of ended up being that focal point. But until this time, the main visual interest was all of those smaller details, which from a distance are a bit hard to see, and so you kind of had to be looking at it up close. In the end though, really, really happy with how the Scoundrel came together, but like I said earlier, it wasn't really until I started to pick out those smaller details that I really started to like how it was looking, and that's what really brought it all together. So if you'd like to see the full version of this video, head over to my channel, The Plastic Canvas, and I hope you enjoy your breakfast.
Today I thought I would talk a little bit about my thoughts on Tabletop Simulator. Everyone is talking about Tabletop Simulator. Certainly during this time, it's a way to play games online. Tabletop Simulator is, at least for me, I downloaded it via Steam, which Steam is an incredibly cool thing. I use it to download, well, pretty much all my computer video gaming is done through Steam. But Tabletop Simulator does come with a cost to buy that. After that, the modules are mostly free-ish, although not all of them are approved by the publishers. And in fact, I saw a publisher this past week who very clearly said, I'm not condoning it, but then gave a big wink and said, yeah, but you can play it, I don't care, essentially. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. Are the different modules there legal or not? Some people may not care about that, but I would prefer to play something only with the approval of the publisher. Tabletop Simulator has been around for a long time. I've messed with it in the past. Now I've messed with it a little bit more because, again, of what's going on here. And at the end of the day, I just don't know that I'm on board. I think I would rather almost not play a board game than play it on Tabletop Simulator. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I don't know that it's for me. One of the things I like to do when I'm playing a game is kind of whip my head around and look at all the different things going around on the table. Tabletop Simulator doesn't let you do that. In fact, I found Tabletop Simulator, one of the problems I have with the whole thing is it's not intuitive at all. Yes, there's lots of keyboard commands. In fact, I just found out this week it has dual monitor covering, but you have to hunt to find these things and figure them out and read documentation, and it just is not extremely user friendly. And even talking to people who import things into the game, that can be difficult too. And so we'll set up cameras all over the table. Okay, I'm going to zoom this camera, zoom that camera, and there are some neat features to zoom in and out, but it's also easy to knock dice on the floor, knock things over, accidentally move things, have my hand covering up stuff, and I just feel like a clumsy fool when playing it. And that is where I think, again, one of the problems is. You can say, well, you'll learn and get better at it. That's right. But when I'm learning a game, I want to learn the game, but not while I'm learning Tabletop Simulator. So with Tabletop Simulator, I got to play games I know for a while first to learn this weird, to me feels clunky system, and then go and learn new games. And I'm not sure that using Tabletop Simulator to learn new games is the best way either, because I can say, all right, look at this card. I was like, where's that card? Oh, there's the card. And it just feels weird. It almost feels like you have this tunnel vision while playing. you also miss out on the tactile feel of the pieces and stuff. And they do a good job at adding real world mechanisms and, gravity and things like that. Although I still think it's weird that you can actually flip the table. I don't understand why that was almost, it's like put in there as a gimmick. Like, look, you can flip a table. Who cares? Great things. You can save table space. There's ways to edit it. The fact that it can handle all sorts of board games. It probably comes as close to a tactile feel as one of these things can. But I went back to back from playing Tabletop Simulator to playing games on my iPad. And the iOS stuff is flashy, it's cool, it's smooth, and it doesn't let you make mistakes. In Tabletop Simulator, you got to know the game, which is fine. But it's easy to miss mistakes because someone might roll the dice or do something and, oh yeah, I didn't use that card because that card wasn't in my camera view. With the iOS apps, they're going to say, hey, you got this, here it adds all that. And it's hard for me to go from one to another. And the thing is, with these iOS apps, I can also play those with people online. So it may not be the fairest comparison. And again, I am not trying to harsh on anyone's vibe who likes Tabletop Simulator. If you do, that is fantastic and enjoyable. But for me, it almost felt more like work than it felt like having a good time. And I'll do it. Sometimes it's just going to be a necessity, and I'll have a good time because you can have a good time doing anything. But I don't think I would choose it over the other ones. I think I'd rather have something like Board Game Arena, which isn't certainly as pretty as Tabletop Simulator, but the things kind of snap into place, and the gameplay seems to be a little smoother for me. You got opinions on Tabletop Simulator? Let me know in the comments below. Let's keep going.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
From Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
All right, well, today we're going to be talking about Small World. Before we do that, we like to talk about what we're trying to do to achieve better health in our lives. So whenever we game, I never get to choose the games. She always picks. So in our effort to try to be healthier, I am setting certain milestones for myself. And every time I hit one of those mileage milestones, I get to choose a game, and you don't get any veto power.
Yeah.
So if you're like me and you're looking to try to incentivize yourself, consider a board game challenge like that. Give yourself, yourself best. So give yourself an achievable goal, work towards it, and then give yourself a reward, a board game related reward, and see if that helps.
And psych, I'm getting a jogging partner. So anyway, about Small World, this is an area control game where you're playing different fantasy tropes while you're trying to take over the area on the board, and you're cycling through these different races, and it kind of goes like that.
Yeah, this is kind of going in the Wayback Machine. This is from 2009, but you know what? It's still fun. Yeah. And what's fun about it to me is how the different races come out and the different special abilities, how they mix and match, and in any given game, you're going to have a wide variety of just crazy combinations to choose from. They can be a little unbalanced at times, but you know what? It makes for a really good time.
This game is also fairly easy to learn. There's only like 3 or 4 actions that you can even take throughout the game besides referencing the sheet about the different character abilities. It plays pretty easy, and because of that, I feel like it's an easy game to teach. I would feel comfortable teaching this game to somebody. That's how I know if it's easy or not.
And it can get a little bit mean. I mean, it is area control. Well, yeah. This is not a mechanism that we like in our collection. That being said, because it is so fun and lighthearted, the meanness of the game isn't really, doesn't come out as much. So yeah, if you're like us and you want to check out an intro to area control, check out Small World. You might enjoy it.
If you'd like to hear our full thoughts on that, go ahead and find us on YouTube under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews, or you can find us on Facebook under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Well, everybody, this is Ryan. I'm Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye everybody.
Guys.
What's up, everyone? My name's Melissa McCack, and this is Smashin' Buttons and Slammin' Cards. This is a segment where I talk about a video game I love and I connect it to a board game I love. And this week, I want to talk about God of War, the video game. This is a whole series of games. I specifically really like God of War 3. I have not gotten to play the most recent one where it deals with some of the Norse mythology, apparently. But originally, it was based in the Greek mythology, and you're going up against gods. You're playing as Kratos, and you're pretty much taking their godly abilities, I guess, when you sort of crush them and whatnot. And the story was cool. The whole thing felt like a simulation ride as you were going through. It was just awesome. I would like to connect that to Blood Rage. So Blood Rage does take place in the Norse mythology universe, I guess, much like the most recent God of War. And I wanted to connect it to this game because you're going up against gods as well, and you could sort of gain the special abilities of these gods as you play through the game. I really like this area control, card drafting style game. I love the Viking theme and just the Norse mythology theme itself. I love playing with gods and godly powers. It's awesome for me. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like, you could check out mine and my brother's channel called Room 51. We are now on YouTube. You can listen to our podcast and everything as well.
Lots of fun things coming from the Dice Tower this week. I'm going to be reviewing the new Marvel Infinity Gauntlet, their version of Love Letter. A couple new expansions for Marvel Legendary, King of Tokyo Dark Edition. I'm also going to do one of my videos where I do a bunch of negative reviews, so keep an eye out for that. And we have another top 10 list coming. We have, of course, our daily chats going on every night, so keep an eye out for them. And I'm going to continue my series where I play games on my iPad and show them off to you and see how many times the iPad can whoop me around the block. But it gives you an idea where you can look at different apps and see if you enjoy them or not. We got the podcast coming. Again, there's all sorts of different videos that are going to go up throughout the course of the week, so keep an eye out for that. Let's keep going.
Good morning, it's Jonna from Pip Wonder, and today is Mother's Day, and I treated myself by not doing any laundry or washing any dishes and playing a solo game of Role Player. Role Player is a dice game where you get to place the dice that are randomly rolled onto your player board to try and score as many points as you want. The theme is very fun and unique because it's based off the idea of building a character for D&D or some other role-playing game. So you're putting together a character that has a specific amount of strength, charisma, intelligence, and so on, and that's based upon the placement of the dice. There's also cards that can kind of bump up your score as you go and give you different actions to take. You always are figuring out, is this the best dice for me to place on my board or the best dice for me because it's gonna let me pick better cards. It's really good that way, and it gives you a lot to think about in a very simple format. I really enjoyed it, and I especially like the fact that when I was scoring at the end, I had missed 2 trait cards. So when I first recorded my score, I thought it was pretty low and I was pretty disappointed with myself, but then I calculated the 2 cards I forgot and I ended up being what are they? I'm a luminary! So I was pretty happy with myself. That's about not the best, not terrible. So I'm pretty happy. I'm a luminary solo gamer. I'm glad I've had this experience and I'm definitely going to be playing it again. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and thanks for watching the Dice Tower.
Happy breakfast everyone. Today I want to talk to you about Everdale. It's a relatively light worker placement game where it's mostly about the cards that you're playing rather than the actual placing of workers. The gameplay is really streamlined and smooth, and it's quite low entry to sort of the worker placement genre, so it could be used as a gateway instead of the likes of Lords of Waterdeep. But that's not why I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the deluxe quality of the retail version, putting the 3D tree to one side, because while it's great at drawing players in, it can sort of hide some of the board depending on where you're sat. So moving that to one side, the resources are amazing. You've got squidgy silicon berries, you've got plastic pebbles, see-through transparent plastic resin, and then wooden twigs. These feel like you buy sort of realistic resources pack to upgrade this game, but they just come as it is. It is reflected in the price tag. I think the RRP for Everdale is around £55 to £60, so you can probably get it for like £10 cheaper than that. It means it's not cheap for potentially an entry point to the worker placement genre, but you kind of get the quality that you're paying for. Would it have been better? for them to offer a chit version and then upgrade to make the core game cheaper? Potentially, yes. But you're getting the whole package. You're getting the looks and you're getting the gameplay with Everdale, and that's probably why it's hit the table so many times, and it's why I want to play it right now. Anyway, that is Everdale. Let me know what you think about games coming with great components when they could have come with okay components for a lot cheaper. And I'm Oliver East, signing out.
All the time, people ask, is it worth it to buy a game? And this has always been an all over the place question, because I can't tell you. I can't tell you if it's worth your while to purchase a game. I can't tell you if $20, $40, $60, $80, $100, $120 is too much for a game, and how many games is too many, how many games you should be buying, etc. Because everyone is going to have different values, different amounts of money that they make, etc. It's just not possible. And yet, that is a very important thing, right? Even though I can't tell you it, it's something that, it's a factoid that's pretty important. I might look at a game and go, that looks super fun. Ooh, too expensive. Or a game like, I don't know. Ooh, it's not, that's all it costs. I'll buy it. That sort of thing happens all the time. But people talk about the value of a game because we want a game that is replayable. We want a game that we can play and we feel like we get our money's worth. Now, people always tout games, I'm included in this, as being infinitely a great value. Even if you pay $50 for a board game and you play it one time with 4 people for 2 hours, that's still cheaper than going to see the movies or going out to eat at a fine restaurant, etc. Now, I don't know if those are comparable forms of entertainment, and if you play a game twice, it goes down, and that's where math comes in, and it gets kind of interesting. So, a long time ago, someone on the internet made a big deal about games played ratio, the number of times you played a game, or games played index, I guess, where basically how many times you played a game divided by the price of the game, and that became your thing. So I would say that works, but I think it should be a time played ratio, because a 4-hour game or a 5-minute game, I could play the 5-minute game 20 times, and the 4-hour game still is a longer time. But there's a lot of things that come into play with this. It's how long does a game take? How many people can it cover? How involved am I in? I might play a 4-hour game where I'm actually only playing for 30 minutes of it. And so you take those factors in, and then is it worth it? Well, again, that's different. You know, we talk about the legacy games. I played the Pandemic legacy game, the first one, 17 times, I think. 17 games of 90 minutes to 2 hours. Probably 90 minutes is closer to what's right. So that's a lot of time for one game, but it's done. Can't play it again, even if I could. I don't want to play it again. It's a finished thing. But I certainly feel like it's his money's worth, right? It's definitely worth the price to play 17 games. But where is that number? How many times do we buy a game when you play it 3 times and you're like, yeah, I played this game a lot. And then you put it on the shelf and you never play it again. And that brings in another cost, storage space. Something else could be sitting on that shelf. That game sitting on that shelf also brings with it a little bit of guilt. So when I say I could buy this game, but I haven't been playing this game a lot, so therefore I won't buy this one. So it's taking up both physical space and emotional space. And it's an interesting thing because this stuff is different to everybody. I'm not including the people who, they just buy everything and apparently have unlimited space in their houses. But when is a game worth it? And it's different for everybody, but it's definitely something we can argue over fiercely on the internet. You only played that game 5 times, why'd you buy it? You never played that game, why'd you buy it? I played this game 400 times. Well, that's a lot. But is it enough? Is there a magic number? And the fact is this, there is none. There is no magic number, and yet we try to think that there is. And basically we do what we do in humanity always. We judge everyone by ourselves. You only play a game that many times? I play it more. You're playing it too few times. You play a game that many times? It's fine. You're obsessed lifestyle game. And we kind of judge everyone around ourselves. But I do think it's something to consider. You don't have to sit down and math it out. But sometimes you might look at something and say it's expensive, but if you play that game 50 times, you know, like if you play Gloomhaven the whole thing through, all 90 hours of it, is it worth it? Oh my word, yes, in my opinion. I can't see that it's not, but you need to kind of come to grips with what's worth it or not, because it then gives you kind of a status of saying, do I want to get this at this particular time? The time played ratio.
Two brothers set loose in a thrift store. This is Thrift Store Throwbacks.
Hey. Whoa, okay. Hey, what's up, man? You good? What's up? What are you doing right now? Okay, first of all, why the bush? Well, yeah, I'm in a bush. Where else would gardeners live? Want to play the garden game? No. It's nice. It sounds mysterious, stuff like that. Okay. Okay, final offer. Do you want to play this game or not? Nah. Whatever. Okay, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. Hey, guys, he doesn't get it. Alrighty, so this is the garden game. This is a game where you are making your way around this track, getting different garden cards, which can be plants, it could be animals, and you're going to be picking up these Gardener's Almanac cards, which essentially be your action cards. And fun fact, all of the player pieces are rock. So on your turn, you're going to spin to see how far you move. One thing that's kind of interesting is how much you move depends on the weather. So if there's a drought or a flood, you move 0. If there's cold rain, you move 2. If there's warm rain, you move 5. I rolled 5, so I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you will always draw the top Almanac card, which will tell you what kind of action you take. In this case, I lose a turn because of course I do. I take a hike. And basically, you're trying to get these garden cards out into your personal garden. At the end of the game, you will get 1 point per card in your garden, but you'll get double points for pollinated plants. Each plant wants to be paired with a second one of that plant, and they all have a different kind of thing that pollinates them. So broccoli here can be pollinated by honeybees, bumblebees, flies, moths, and the game will end once the first person gets all the way around to the end. Everyone else will get one more turn. You count points. Whoever has the most points is the ultimate gardener. So that was Rodney. The garden game. Nailed it. So this game is okay. This game is so frustrating. It's like a halfway to a decent game. There's like a bit of set collection.
Some budding designer made this, and there's like set collection, and cards influence other cards, and then they said, no.
Garden game.
Only spinners. Speaking of things that don't make you sad, Thursday, the 21st of May, we are doing a live board game trivia that you from home can play along with using any of your newfangled devices out there.
Indeed.
Called This Quiz is Broken.
Based off of This Game is Broken, the hit idiotic podcast that we are on, part of the Dice Tower Network. We play at home. It's like pub trivia with all This Game is Broken games, but you get to play along home with us. You actually get points. It ranks who's in first place, second place. It's very, very cool. It'll be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheBrothersMurph. Please be there on the 21st because it's going to be super fun.
Hi guys, I am ready.
And I am Ellen.
We're winding down our Cull series here. Not sure if this will be the last one, but it's probably close to the last. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far. Here is Quadropolis. This is a pretty entry-level city building game. Mm-hmm. It's fairly accessible to everyone. Mm-hmm. Ellen, I don't believe you really like city building games.
I do not like city building games at all.
So it's not
staying. I do appreciate the grid in the middle where you have your construction worker with the number on it telling you what row and like space you can go to. I like gritty kind of things. Gritty, man, but no.
Yeah, that mechanic of how you pick them is quite good. It's got the pretty standard building aspects. You get points for industrial buildings next to, shipyards, commercials, next to residentials, and things like that. So lots of good synergy, good ways of playing. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I think maybe I should try it again.
I would recommend Suburbia over that if you want a city building game, but this one is a little bit more accessible.
Okay. New York, 1901. This is also city building, technically, isn't it?
It's not really.
Polyomino.
It's not city building like it is, like you're trying to
But it is
a
city. That's why I'm like, there's city in your building.
But yeah, it's a polyomino. You're placing them down. You're putting different buildings of different, sizes. And the bigger they are, the more they score. And then you could actually upgrade those buildings by like demolishing them and building up on them. You can get points for being on certain corners and things like that for what the gold cards are.
Yeah.
Actually, I really do like this game, and I'm a little sad that I think we're going to get rid of this one.
I think we're getting rid of it.
Honestly, it just doesn't get to the table enough. The
great Western Trail.
Western Trail. Not average, not mediocre, not basic. Great. And it is great and it will stay in the collection probably for all of eternity because I do like this game very, very much.
For all eternity and for you because it is heavy as heck.
It's pretty heavy.
And I don't love Western themes.
Yeah.
The mechanics work. It's cool. It's a good game. I totally understand the appeal with this one. It's just so heavy, and that combined with the theme.
Sure.
The
theme is not going to grab very many people. It's like cattle ranching or cattle, I don't know, rustling. I don't know. Anyway, it's a rondel, and you have some buildings out and things that kind of help you along the way, kind of boost your strategy. There's like cows that you can collect for set collection, and then that in turn moves your train farther down the track when you're delivering them to different cities. Lots of little neat things in this.
Yeah.
The buildings, I like especially the ones that let you advance to the next one. So when you land on a space, you get to do that building.
Right, okay.
But then that'll shoot you to say like the next building. You kind of combo those together. Really efficient, cool way of playing
that's
it.
cool.
So
for sure.
this one will stay in the collection. All right, guys. Thank you once again for joining us. And we hope you'll see us on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that's it for another episode, folks. Thanks so much for joining in. As always, I appreciate all the contributors who did great stuff this week. I appreciate all of you coming on board and watching and having a great time. Exciting things coming. Keep an eye out. We're going to try to do more prizes and more things as the weeks go by. And I'm looking forward to this summer. Not the summer we expected it to be, but a great summer nonetheless, because we get to at least spend a little bit of it with each other here. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching The Dice Tower. See you next time.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.